10 number one records. 10. More than anybody in America in the 60s except the Beatles. And by 1976, one of the three women who started it was dead at 32. In Detroit, on welfare. This isn't a story about three friends who drifted apart. This is a story about decisions. 10 of them, made in offices, written on paper, signed by people they trusted, each one taking a little more of the Supremes away from the Supremes. Number 10. Before they ever had a hit, Motown took the one thing that was actually theirs, their name. You know the origin story. Three girls out of the Brewster-Douglass projects in Detroit, calling themselves the Primettes, sitting outside Hitsville every single day until somebody let them in. Mary Wilson told it herself years later. They hung around until a producer finally came out and asked if anybody could clap on a track. That's how you get in the door when you're 15. January 1961. Berry Gordy signs them, and because they were underage, their parents had to sign the contracts for them. Then he told them to change the name. Here's the part that stayed with me. Mary Wilson said Gordy had them change it so that he could own the rights to the new one. They threw options in a hat. Florence Ballard reached in and pulled out the Supremes. So the name was theirs for about 4 seconds. Then it belonged to a company, and for the next 16 years, they built it. Stop! In the name of love, baby love, come see about me. They turned 2 words out of a hat into the best charting female group in American chart history. But here's where it gets hard. When Mary Wilson wanted to use that name on her own, the name Florence pulled out of a hat, the name she personally spent 16 years making mean something, she had to go to court against Motown to do it. Years of it. Legal bills, depositions, over a word. And if you've ever built something with your own 2 hands and found out later that your name on it was just a licensing question, you already know the feeling I'm describing. Number 9. In 1965, the Supremes were the biggest group in America, and they were living on an allowance. The contract Gordy offered them was the standard young act deal of the era. No salaries. Their income came from a small allowance and from royalties, and the royalty rate worked out to about 2 cents for every record sold. Not each, total, then split between them. Mary Wilson once estimated the girls each cleared somewhere around $5,000 for every million records they sold. Now here's the thing about a million records. That's not a hit. That's a phenomenon. That's your song in every car in America with the window down. Then it gets worse. Under those contracts, Gordy could deduct from their royalties any money he'd advanced to promote the act. So the more Motown spent making you famous, the less you saw from being famous. But that's not even the clause that matters most. Buried in that paperwork was this: only Motown had the authority to dismiss a member of the group or hire a new one. Only Motown chose the material. Only Motown chose the arrangements. Listen to that again because it's going to come back at the end of this list. 3 women in a group, and not one of them had the power to decide who stayed in it. They didn't own the name, they didn't own the recordings, and they didn't own their own membership. I'll be honest with you, when I first read that clause, I stopped reading for a minute because everything that happens over the next 9 entries is already sitting right there in 1961 in small print, signed by somebody's mother. Real talk, only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8. Motown lost the men who made the sound, and the Supremes paid the bill for a fight they weren't even in. In 1963, Gordy took a songwriting team, Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, Eddie Holland, and handed them a group that had gone nowhere. Around Hitsville, people were literally calling them the hitless Supremes. Then in 1964 came Where Did Our Love Go? And after that, the floodgates. 10 number ones for the Supremes came out of that partnership. You Can't Hurry Love, You Keep Me Hanging On, I Hear a Symphony, the entire architecture of what you think of when you think Supremes. But here's what was happening upstairs. Holland-Dozier-Holland wanted better terms, profit sharing, real royalties, and late in 1967, when the talks weren't going anywhere, they did something Motown had never seen. They stopped turning in songs. A work slowdown at the most successful record company in Black America. Gordy refused their terms. By early 1968, all 3 were gone, and then it turned ugly. Motown sued them for breach of contract. They countersued. That case didn't get settled until 1977, 9 years of lawyers. Now think about what that meant for 3 women who had no vote in any of it. Mary Wilson put it about as plainly as anybody could. She said Holland-Dozier-Holland left, and the sound was gone. That's not bitterness, that's a diagnosis. Because the machine that made those records, the writers, the producers, the Funk brothers in that basement, it wasn't a magic spell. It was people, and when Gordy decided not to pay 3 of them what they were asking, the Supremes lost their engine. They kept charting, they kept working, but the pipeline of untouchable records dried up almost overnight, and nobody in the group had been in the room when it happened.
Gone, boy, get out of my life.
Number 7.
You persuaded me to love you, and
In 1967, Motown renamed the group, and nobody asked the group.
oh my darling, now you're gone. You made
Somewhere in the first half of that year, Gordy made the call. From now on, the billing would read Diana Ross and the Supremes.
look at my face. See how cry.
Now you might be thinking, okay, that's just marketing. Everybody knew who the lead singer was. And that's true. That was already the reality on the records, on the TV shows, in the magazine covers. But say the new name out loud and listen to what it does. Diana Ross, a person with a first name and a last name, and the Supremes, a plural noun.
My heart cries out.
Two women who had been in that group since they were teenagers, Mary Wilson, who never left, and Florence Ballard, who founded it, became a category, a backing unit, not fired, not replaced, just absorbed into a word. And here's the timing that gets me. The name change came down while Florence was still in the group. She was still standing on those stages, still doing the choreography Charlie Atkins taught her, still wearing the gowns, under a name that had quietly written her out. The first album released under that new billing wasn't even new music. It was a hits collection, songs recorded back when all three names carried the same weight, repackaged under a name where they didn't. Here's where I'll say something you might disagree with.
You close the door to your heart and you turn the key. Locked your
I think this decision did more long-term damage than any firing, because a firing is an event. You can point to a date. This was a condition.
love is here. And oh my darling, now
Every single day after that, two grown women walked out under a marquee that told them exactly where they ranked.
that was waiting there.
Some of you have worked somewhere like that, where nothing happened, technically, and everything happened.
You stripped me of my dreams. You gave me faith.
Number 6. There are Supremes records with no Supremes on them, and I'm not talking about one. June 1967. The group cuts a Holland-Dozier-Holland song called In and Out of Love. Florence Ballard is in that booth. That session turns out to be the last track date she'd ever do as a Supreme. Then she's gone. And here's what Motown did next. Her vocal on that recording, and Mary Wilson's, got overdubbed with the Andantes, Motown's in-house background singers. The ladies who quietly sang on an enormous number of records you love without ever getting a name on the sleeve. So the record you heard on the radio in late '67 was three women's faces on the sleeve and different women's voices in the mix. And it wasn't a one-off. Love Child in 1968, one of the biggest records of their entire run, that raw, urgent, socially conscious record that people still play, was cut with the Andantes on backgrounds too. Stay with me, because here's the detail that turns this from a business decision into something else. Years later, in her solo shows, Mary Wilson had a bit she'd do. She'd tell the audience she was going to perform a medley of her Supremes hits. The band would strike up Baby Love, and Mary would sing her part. The crowd would laugh. She meant it to be funny, self-deprecating, good-natured, no bitterness in it. But it was also completely accurate. And on some of those hits, it wasn't even her doing the ooh, ooh, ooh. If you've ever watched something you did get filed under somebody else's name and had to smile about it because making a scene would have cost you more than the credit was worth, you understand that joke better than the people who laughed at it. Number 5. The final number 1 by Diana Ross and the Supremes doesn't have the Supremes on it at all. Someday we'll be together. You know it. Slow build, that voice coming in over the top, somebody talking underneath the whole thing. Here's the story. The song was written back in 1961 by Johnny Bristol, Jackie Beavers, and Harvey Fuqua. Bristol and Beavers cut it themselves. Went nowhere. Fast forward to 1969. Bristol is at Motown building a new version for Junior Walker and the All-Stars. He's already got the instrumental down with the Funk Brothers. He's already got the background vocals recorded, with Maxine and Julia Waters singing them. And Berry Gordy walks past, hears the tracks, and takes the song. He wants it for Diana Ross, solo, because Ross is on her way out and Motown needs a launch. So Bristol pulls her into the studio, and when he can't get the performance he's after, he starts singing along with her from another booth to coax it out of her. The engineer accidentally records him doing it. They keep it. That's him you hear in the background the whole song, encouraging her through it. Then Gordy changes the plan one more time. This isn't Diana's solo debut anymore. This is the last Supreme single. Mary Wilson isn't on it. Cindy Birdsong isn't on it. Their voices appear on the B-side and nowhere else. And here's the part I keep coming back to. Mary Wilson heard that record for the first time on the radio, like you did, like I did. October 1969 it comes out. The week of December 27th, it goes to number 1, the 12th for the group, and the very last number 1 record of the entire 1960s. A song called Someday We'll Be Together, closing out the decade, sung by one person. You couldn't write that. Nobody would believe you. Number 4. January 14th, 1970, the Frontier Hotel, Las Vegas, and a phone call at dawn. That night was the farewell. Diana Ross's last show as a Supreme, Mary Wilson and Cindy Birdsong on either side of her, and at the end of it, they brought out the new lead singer and introduced her to the press and the public, Jean Terrell. Terrell had already been in the studio for months. She'd rehearsed the new act with Mary and Cindy during the day, while Ross performed at night. Most of the first post-Ross album was already recorded. Done deal. Handled. Early the next morning, the phone rings at Mary Wilson's place. It's Gordy. He's changed his mind. He wants Terrell out and Cyrita Wright in instead. Understand the situation. Terrell had been introduced to the world roughly 8 hours earlier. The album was in the can. Wilson said no, flat no, and told him she'd quit before she'd do it. And Gordy told her he'd wash his hands of the group. Then he hung up. Here's the thing, he mostly meant it. The company's attention, its promotional muscle, its money, all of it swung behind Diana Ross's solo career and, before long, behind the movies. Now, watch what those 3 women did with a company that had walked away from them. Up the ladder to the roof, top 10. And then in the fall of 1970, A young songwriter named Kenny Thomas gets discovered off a Detroit radio talent show, and Frank Wilson turns his song into Stoned Love. Number 7 Pop. Number 1 R&B. Their last top 10 pop record. Their last number 1 R&B record. Made by a lineup that the founder of the label had told, in so many words, that he was done with them. I'll say it plainly. I think Stoned Love is the best record the Supremes ever cut without Diana Ross. And I know some of you are already typing. Go ahead. I want to hear it. Don't you hear the wind blowing? Number 3. June 1972. Motown left town and left them behind. The company shut down its Detroit operation and moved the whole thing to Los Angeles. Gordy was pivoting to film. Lady Sings the Blues was coming. There were casualties everywhere. The Four Tops didn't want to move west and were let go. Martha and the Vandellas played their farewell at Cobo Hall by the end of that year. The Supremes' Floyd Joy album turned out to be the last one they'd ever record inside Hitsville. 13 years of hits made in a house on West Grand Boulevard. Then the doors close. And here's what happened to the Supremes specifically. Nothing. For 2.5 years, nothing. No new album, not a break they asked for, not a creative decision. The most successful female group in the history of American pop just wasn't recorded. Lineups shifted, contracts came slow, and the group toured overseas, Britain, Japan, playing to people who still cared, while the label that owned their name looked the other way. Motown finally put out an album in June of 1975, then High Energy in 76, then in October of 76, Mary, Sherry, and Susaye, an album with real songs on it. Holland Brothers back in the producer's chair, material that could have worked. It got almost no promotion. You know how that goes. It's not sabotage. Nobody sends a memo. The record just quietly doesn't get pushed, and then people say it didn't connect. June 1977, Drury Lane in London. Last show. 18 years after 4 teenagers started singing together in a Detroit stairwell. And when it was over, Motown still had the name. Mary Wilson, the one who'd been there every single day from the beginning to the end, had to keep fighting in court for the right to use 2 words she'd pulled out of a hat with her best friend when she was 17. If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. A lot of us have watched something we gave our whole life to become a line item. Number 2. May 16th, 1983. 47 million people watching, and they gave the Supremes one song. Motown 25, the night Michael Jackson moonwalked, the Temptations and the Four Tops going at each other, Marvin Gaye in the last year of his life. I see a dream that's lost from the hurt. And the Supremes reunion, Diana Ross, Mary Wilson, Cindy Birdsong together for the first time in 13 years, got a single number. Guess which one? Someday We'll Be Together. The record Mary Wilson wasn't on. Then it fell apart on live television. Through the mirror of my mind, through these tears that I'm crying. By Wilson's own account in her memoir, She called out to Gordy in the audience to come down and join them. And Ross took her microphone and pushed it away from her face and snapped at her. It's been taken care of.
I keep holding on to the happy time.
Suzanne DePass sent Smokey Robinson out to flood the stage and end it. The full footage has never aired. Wilson said something later about that night that I think about a lot. She said the Supremes were nowhere near the belles of the ball, that their era had ended.
Ooh, and you in my heart. As I
17 years after Stop in the Name of Love, her era had ended. Then comes 2000, the Return to Love tour, the big one. All of them back together finally, properly. And the numbers came in.
Today, and all the love I gave all in vain.
Reporting at the time put Ross's payday around $15 million. Mary Wilson's offer, $4 million. Cindy Birdsong's, $1 million. Wilson said no. She said it publicly, and she said why.
All the love that I
The tour opened in Philadelphia on June 14, 2000, with Ross alongside two Supremes she'd never recorded with.
the love it took from me. I'm all alone.
Tickets ran as high as $250, and people didn't buy them because everyone could tell it wasn't the thing it was being sold as. It collapsed by midsummer. Roughly half the dates never happened.
All the tears that I take.
And whether Mary should have taken the $4 million, whether that was principle or pride, I'm not going to tell you. Some of y'all think she cost herself the last real chance.
Well, just a handful of promises are all that's left.
Some of y'all think she was the only one in the whole arrangement who told the truth out loud. I know which side I lean toward. I'd rather hear yours.
Through the mirror of my mind, through these tears that I'm crying.
Number 1.
I find it hard for me to carry on.
July 1st, 1967, one day after her 24th birthday, Flamingo Hotel, Las Vegas.
From this loneliness, there's no hiding place.
Florence Ballard is on stage with the group she founded, and she's had a drink, and she's tired of being told she's too heavy for the gowns. So during the scripted patter, she sticks her stomach out. Gordy sends her home to Detroit. Cindy Birdsong changes into her clothes and finishes the run. That August, the Detroit Free Press reported she was taking a leave for exhaustion. She wasn't. She was done. 24 years old. Now here's the part most people never get told. On July 27th, she's brought in to meet a Motown vice president who puts a release in front of her. The terms, $15,000, paid out at $2,500 a year for 6 years. In exchange, every future royalty and any claim to the name. The name she pulled out of the hat. She said afterward that she understood exactly what the paper meant. In other words, you're nothing. She said she was told that if she didn't sign, Gordy wouldn't have anything else to do with her. And she said she started crying and signed it and never finished reading it. She fought, and a bigger settlement was negotiated the following February, a one-time payment of $139,804. It went to her attorney. He was later facing embezzlement charges. She spent years trying to get it, and there was a condition in that agreement that finished her. She was not to present herself as a former Supreme, not in promotion, not on a liner note. The single most valuable fact about her, that she was one of the 3 women who made 12 #1 records, was legally unusable. Try selling a record that way. ABC signed her. 2 singles, no chart. Album shelved. Dropped by 1970. She sued Motown again in 1971 for the royalties she believed she was owed, and she lost.
My world is empty without you, babe.
Foreclosure, separation, 3 little girls, and in the mid-70s, a Detroit Free Press headline told the whole city, ex-Supreme, broke on public assistance. She was clawing back. Insurance money let her buy a small house. She got back on a stage in 1975. She was talking about recording again. February 22, 1976. She died of a coronary thrombosis. 32 years old.
I need your strength, I need your tender touch.
8 years to the day from the date she was released from Motown. 3,000 people came to New Bethel Baptist. It got so loud that Reverend C.L. Franklin had to stop and remind the crowd that this was a funeral. People were snapping pictures of the celebrities coming in. Her mother had one explanation for what killed her daughter. She said she died of a broken heart. In 1988, Florence Ballard became the first woman ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame posthumously. 12 years too late to tell her.
My world is empty